So here's another smart guy. So Devin, I thought about Devin more over the last couple of days than anybody else, because this guy would come in and he'd tell people what was going on and nobody believed it because it was not believable. It wasn't true that they would be doing a takeover of a presidency illegally and all of the illegality that was going on. And he was the first one, our superstar Jim, and all of us will admit this guy was just, he wouldn't stop. Devin Nunes, he wouldn't stop. He saw it before anybody, and you deserve a medal. You deserve the equivalent of Pulitzer Prizes. They ought to take the Pulitzer Prize away from all of these phony journalists that got a Pulitzer Prize, and they were wrong. They were wrong on everything, and now they've been proven wrong. I saw where Clapper, not a smart guy. How do you have not a smart person heading up intelligence? How does that work, right? You have a man who is not smart and he heads up intelligence, and that's possibly what happened. They ran away with it, but he knew what was going on, and I'd watch him on television. He'd say the worst things. And now I know why Shifty Schiff, dishonest, corrupt politician, why this guy didn't want these papers exposed. Because all these people said under oath, where they go to jail if they lie, they were totally, no, I didn't see any collusion with Russia. I saw nothing. No, I said, but he was on television before and after saying there was massive collusion, like Putin was my best friend. We had no calls to Russia. We had no calls from Russia for years. And all of a sudden, we have this great friendship. And by the way, getting along with Russia is a great thing. Getting along with Putin and Russia is a great thing. And stuff like this makes it impossible. And that leads to very bad things, very bad things. But I have to say that Devin was incredible. He understood it. He understood that it was a hoax before anybody else knew what was happening. And then I have to say the people in this room took over and did a hell of a job with you, right? They had guts. They had guts like nobody's ever seen before. I want to thank you on behalf of our country, and I'd like to have you say a few words.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, and it's unfortunate what you had to live through for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
From your campaign to your presidency, and I appreciate your kind words, and for all the folks in here who have worked so hard getting to the bottom of the Russia hoax situation. Let me just talk a little bit about the situation our country's in now. I know you're well aware. We've had 6-7 weeks here of keeping people inside their homes. We've learned a lot about this virus. There's still a lot more we need to learn. We need to learn what our friends over in Asia were doing at the time that this virus was taking off, and the issues with the World Health Organization. And I believe with your new pick, with John Ratcliffe, member of the House Intelligence Committee, member from Texas, he's going to do a great job getting to the bottom of this, and I think leading the intelligence agencies through what have been some pretty dark times over the last few years.
And I think we should say Rick Grinnell has done a great job, too. In fact, John Ratcliffe called up 2 days ago. He said, I'm really looking forward to this, but I don't know if I can top the guy we have in there right now. And he's going to do a phenomenal job, but Rick Grinnell has been incredible. Before that, we had an empty seat. But Rick Grinnell, what he's done, even Louis would admit that. And I saw Rick yesterday walking in with thousands of pages of paper into the Justice Department. We didn't see that before, did we, Louis? Huh? Rick Grinnell did a great job, and John is going to be phenomenal. Please.
Well, Mr. President, what we expect and the American people expect is transparency from our law enforcement agencies, and I think we're well on our way to getting that. I want to also thank you for bringing us back here to show the American people that we can be here and do our work. The Democrats are cowering at home right now. And it makes no sense because we've learned so much. I can understand for the first few weeks, but we're learning. We have ventilators. We're learning new ways how to treat this virus. And if we're expecting, as you know, you've been in my district. It's the San Joaquin Valley of California, heavy agricultural area. My folks have been going to work. And because they have to feed this country along with a lot of the folks around here. And if we expect the guys that are cutting meat or working at a grocery store, working in these packing plants, if we expect them to go to work, we ought to go to work as members of Congress. And I'll just leave it at that.
I will say I got you all of your permits necessary from the federal government for water. You know, we throw millions of gallons a day of water into the Pacific Ocean that comes from up north. And when I saw Devin, I say, how come those fields are all barren? They're beautiful land, all barren, brown. And then they'll have a little patch like this, a little patch in a corner, or a little patch on one side, and it's beautiful green. You could see it was so, and I said, how come so much of it, 90%, 95%, it looks like a desert, and you have this. He said, we don't have water. I said, you mean you have a drought? This was a long time ago we met, right? Right at the beginning, before I got elected. And I said, you mean you have a drought? He said, no, we don't have a drought. We send millions of gallons of water out to the ocean to protect a very, well, I'll never say anything's unimportant. I think everything's important. To protect, go ahead, what's the name?
The smelt, Delta smelt. Yeah.
So you have a Delta smelt that's not doing well. It's getting no water, and it will do a lot better if it had water. But they send millions and millions of it. Is that seriously, is that the only reason? That's the reason they send it out there?
Yeah, that and,
for the Delta
that
smelt.
and salmon, yes.
It's
so
incredible.
The farmers are very thankful for recognizing the important work that you've done, not only in San Joaquin Valley, but all over the country. And I'll just say that's why they're out working, and I think we should be working. And I'm
Well, you
glad
know,
brought us here.
with the water, though, I said, so what has to happen? Well, you need approvals from Congress, from this, from you need all sorts of approvals, but you need it from Commerce more importantly than anything. I got every approval for you, and you got a lot of the state approvals done through Kevin and yourself and others. All you need now is the signature of the governor. And those millions of gallons of wasted water going into the Pacific, that's like a drop in the bucket. Doesn't mean anything to the Pacific. All of that water would come right down all the way into Los Angeles. And, you know, in Los Angeles, I had a house in Los Angeles. You couldn't, I sold it. You know why I sold it? Because Secret Service says you can't come here anymore. I said, I might as well sell it. But I had a house, and you couldn't have water. You couldn't water your grass. They said, oh, you're not allowed to water your grass. And then you look at this massive turn. They had a turn. It takes a day to turn it. It's like a big faucet. And they turn it, and it veers all the water out into the Pacific. It's crazy. So we're all set, except you need Gavin's signature. If you get Gavin's signature, you can have water from Los Angeles all the way up.
Yeah.
And it's the most incredible thing I've ever seen. I
thank you.
thought it was a drought. I said, he said, no, we have tremendous amounts of water, but we send it out to the Pacific Ocean. And it was over the smelt. So if you can get his signature.
Well, I know you know, during this time of crisis, we need to work with the governor, and I thank you for working with our governor, who's obviously not a supporter of yours. But there is a serious issue there that the governor needs to recognize that we have a water crisis in our state that you've recognized, and he needs to drop the lawsuits that he's brought and work with us.
Well, we've gotten along very well, Gavin Newsom. We've gotten very well with regard to COVID-19, as we call it. In that respect, he's been fantastic, and we've been fantastic, and he said very generous things. But on other things, we disagree, like the water, like cars, because you can have a car for much less money that's equally good environmentally, but much safer, better car. California forces you to build a bad car that doesn't work well, and there are a lot of reasons for not doing it that way. So we'll end up. So on that we don't agree, but we agree on the coronavirus, and on that we've gotten along very well. And we've done a great job for California and for everybody. And he was very honest about that assessment. It would be great if you could get the water, but you're all set. Okay, you're all set. Just I say that to Kevin too. Get his signature, and you're going to have so many. All those thousands of acres are going to be opened up, and they'll have plenty of water for Los Angeles too. So they won't have to ration. They're going to ration the water in California. It's the most incredible thing I've ever seen, and yet they're sending millions of gallons out. So thank you very much. But thank you very much for the job you've done. Appreciate it.
Thank you.